In the quaint town of Maplewood, nestled between rolling hills and shimmering lakes, lived a family that seemed to embody the very definition of perfection. At the heart of this idyllic family was Emma, a bright and imaginative 15-year-old girl who often marveled at the life she shared with her parents, Sarah and Tom, and her younger brother, Max. From the outside looking in, their lives appeared to be a picture-perfect postcard, a charming home adorned with blooming flowers, laughter echoing through the halls, and evenings filled with warmth and love. Emma often basked in the glow of her family's reputation. Her parents were not just devoted, they were also deeply involved in the community. Sarah volunteered at the local library, hosting story hours for children and organizing book fairs, while Tom was a beloved coach for the neighborhood soccer team. Their dedication to each other and their community was evident in every aspect of their lives, painting a portrait of harmony that Emma cherished. Family dinners were sacred rituals in their household. Every Sunday evening, they would gather around the table for a feast where everyone shared stories about their week, Max's latest adventures at school, Emma's blossoming interest in art, and her parents' anecdotes from their own childhoods. Laughter would fill the air as they recounted silly moments or played games like charades after dinner. To Emma, these gatherings were the epitome of joy and togetherness. They reinforced her belief that her family was not just perfect but also invincible. Emma's friendships further solidified her perception of perfection. Her friends often expressed envy over what they perceived as an enviable family life. "You're so lucky to have such great parents," one friend remarked during lunch one day. Emma would smile and nod, feeling a swell of pride. She knew that her family had its quirks, like how Max sometimes insisted on wearing mismatched socks or how her dad had an unusual obsession with collecting vintage comic books, but these idiosyncrasies only added to their charm. In her eyes, no family was without its flaws, yet hers felt uniquely special. As she drifted through her teenage years, Emma began to see herself as part of this perfect picture, a dedicated daughter, a caring sister, and an aspiring artist with dreams that glimmered like stars in the night sky. She spent hours sketching scenes from their life, family outings at the lake, backyard barbecues under twinkling fairy lights, and cozy nights curled up on the couch with popcorn and movies. Each drawing captured not just moments but emotions, the warmth of laughter, the embrace of love, and the strength of familial bonds. Yet beneath this seemingly flawless facade lay an undercurrent of tension that Emma remained blissfully unaware of for now. Her family seemed to glide through life effortlessly, however, there were whispers beneath the surface that would soon challenge everything she believed to be true. The turning point came on an ordinary Wednesday afternoon when Emma returned home from school earlier than usual. She kicked off her sneakers by the door and headed towards her room to unwind before dinner. As she passed by her parents' study, she noticed the door slightly ajar and heard hushed voices emanating from within. Curiosity piqued, she paused to listen. What started as innocuous snippets of conversation quickly transformed into something unrecognizable. Words like deception, truth, and regret floated through the air like ominous shadows. Emma's heart raced as she strained to catch more details. The safety net of her family's perfection began to unravel as she overheard fragments that hinted at hidden truths, secrets buried deep behind smiles and laughter. In that moment, everything shifted for Emma. The image she had so carefully crafted in her mind began to crack as doubt seeped in like an unwelcome guest. This was not just about eavesdropping, it was about facing a reality that threatened to shatter her world, a world she thought was perfect. With each passing heartbeat echoing in her ears, Emma realized that what lay ahead would force her to confront not only her family's hidden struggles but also her own understanding of love and loyalty. Little did she know that this journey would change everything, not just for her but for each member of her seemingly perfect family. The secrets waiting to be uncovered promised revelations that could turn her world upside down and ultimately lead them all toward a new kind of truth. Emma often found herself reflecting on the cherished moments that painted her family's perfect image. Their lives were a tapestry woven with threads of love, laughter, and shared experiences that seemed to glow brighter than the sunniest days in Maplewood. Each family gathering was a celebration, a ritual that reinforced their bond and showcased the strength of their connections. Every Friday night was designated as family game night. This cherished tradition brought everyone together, transforming their living room into a vibrant battlefield of strategy and laughter. Board games sprawled across the coffee table and friendly competition filled the air as they engaged in spirited debates over who had the best poker face or the most clever strategy. Emma loved watching her parents tease each other about their game choices, with Tom always opting for strategy games while Sarah preferred quick-paced card games. Max, still mastering his skills, often brought comic relief with his unexpected antics, like misplacing game pieces or declaring himself the reigning champion after a single win. As they played, the evening would unfold like a symphony, each laugh echoing against the walls that held countless memories. The warmth of their camaraderie enveloped Emma as she glanced around at her family, feeling a profound sense of belonging. In those moments, she believed wholeheartedly that this was what happiness looked like, pure joy shared among family members who genuinely cared for one another. The weekends were filled with more rituals that added to the perfect image they cultivated. Saturday mornings often began with a tradition Emma adored: pancake breakfasts. The aroma of vanilla and cinnamon wafted through their home as Sarah flipped pancakes on the stove while Tom brewed fresh coffee. Max would bounce around excitedly, ready to help set the table or be the taste tester for Sarah's latest experimental recipe. They would gather around the kitchen table, plates piled high, sharing stories from their week while savoring bites of fluffy pancakes drizzled with syrup and topped with fresh strawberries. During these meals, conversation flowed freely, each family member contributing anecdotes or jokes that kept laughter alive and vibrant. Emma felt a sense of security in these shared moments. They were reminders that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they could always find solace in each other's company. The highlight of their month was undoubtedly family movie night, a delightful experience everyone eagerly anticipated. They would transform the living room into a cozy theater, complete with blankets and popcorn galore. With twinkling fairy lights strung around the room, they would debate which movie to watch before finally settling on a classic that everyone could enjoy. As they snuggled together on the couch, Emma delighted in feeling her mother's arm draped around her shoulders while her father made silly comments about the film's plot. It was moments like these that solidified Emma's belief in her family's perfection, the kind of love that radiated warmth and security even in a world filled with uncertainty. She cherished how they supported one another through life's ups and downs, whether it was celebrating achievements or providing comfort during tough times. Every holiday season brought its own set of traditions that further reinforced their perfect family image. Decorating for Christmas became an event in itself, an afternoon filled with laughter as they pulled out boxes of ornaments collected over the years. Each ornament held a story. There was the glittery snowflake Max had made in kindergarten and the delicate glass bauble Sarah had received from her grandmother. As they hung each piece on the tree together, Emma felt a strong connection to her family's history, a legacy woven into every branch. On Christmas Eve, they would gather by the fireplace to read classic holiday stories aloud, sipping hot cocoa topped with marshmallows as soft music played in the background. The crackling fire illuminated their faces, making them appear almost dreamlike in its glow. Emma loved how her parents exchanged knowing glances during particularly sentimental parts of the stories. It reinforced her belief that love transcended time and space. Yet it wasn't just during special occasions that Emma felt this love. Every day brought small gestures that contributed to their perfect family image. Morning hugs before school became ritualistic. Sarah would kneel down to give Max an extra squeeze before he dashed off to catch his bus, while Tom always ensured Emma left for school with a pep talk about pursuing her dreams. Every interaction seemed layered with affection, a gentle nudge here or an encouraging word there, and Emma soaked it all in like sunshine on a bright summer day. Their lives intertwined seamlessly, creating an unshakable foundation built on love and support. In Emma's eyes, these moments formed an unassailable fortress around her family's image, a sanctuary where everything felt right and where imperfections seemed non-existent. Little did she know that soon enough, this flawless facade would begin to crack under the weight of secrets she had yet to uncover. But for now, she continued to believe wholeheartedly in the beauty of her family's picture-perfect existence, a world she thought would last forever. The afternoon sun cast a warm glow over Maplewood, and Emma was in one of her favorite places, her room. Surrounded by sketches of her family and the comforting chaos of art supplies, she had just finished her homework when she heard the familiar sound of laughter drifting from the living room. It was a typical day, and she felt a wave of contentment wash over her as she imagined her family enjoying their time together. However, as Emma prepared to join them, she noticed a peculiar tension in the air. The laughter seemed to fade into hushed voices, and an unsettling curiosity tugged at her. What could they be discussing so intently? With a mix of intrigue and apprehension, Emma tiptoed toward the study, drawn by the whispers that floated through the partially open door. Peering inside, she caught a glimpse of her parents sitting across from each other at the desk, their expressions serious. Sarah's brow was furrowed, and Tom's hands were clenched as he leaned forward, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma's heart raced. This wasn't the easygoing banter she had come to expect from them. Tom, we can't keep pretending everything is fine, Sarah said, her voice tinged with urgency. The kids deserve to know the truth. A chill ran down Emma's spine as she pressed closer to the doorframe, straining to hear more. Her mother's tone was filled with an emotion Emma couldn't quite place. Was it fear? Frustration? The weight of unspoken words hung heavily in the air. Do you really think it's that simple? Tom replied, shaking his head slightly. What if it changes how they see us? How they see her family? Emma felt as though the ground beneath her was shifting. The perfect image she had held onto so tightly began to tremble at the edges. What truth were they talking about? What could possibly disrupt their idyllic life? They already sensed something is off, Sarah insisted. We've been walking on eggshells for too long. They need to understand why things have been different lately. Different? Emma's mind raced back to recent weeks, the subtle changes in their routines, the occasional distant look in her parents' eyes during those cherished family moments. Was there something she had missed? She felt a knot tightening in her stomach as dread crept in. Maybe it's time we stop hiding behind this facade of perfection, Sarah continued softly but firmly. We owe it to them to be honest. Tom sighed deeply, his shoulders slumping slightly as if he were carrying a weight far too heavy for him alone. You're right, he finally said, his voice barely audible. But I just don't know how to start that conversation. At that moment, Emma's heart sank further. The love and support she had always believed were unshakable now felt like fragile threads on the verge of unraveling. She stepped back from the door, her mind racing with questions and fears that threatened to consume her. Unsure of what to do next, Emma leaned against the wall for support. The vibrant memories of family game nights and pancake breakfasts felt like distant echoes in a suddenly darkened room. The illusion of perfection, the very foundation of her happiness, was crumbling before her eyes. As thoughts swirled in her mind like a tempest, she couldn't shake off the feeling that she had stumbled upon something monumental, something that could change everything she believed about her family and their love for one another. The warmth that once enveloped her heart now felt cold and heavy with uncertainty. In that moment of reckoning, Emma understood that she couldn't simply ignore what she had overheard. Curiosity mixed with fear compelled her forward. She needed answers but dreaded what those answers might reveal. Taking a deep breath to steady herself, Emma quietly retreated back to her room, all while replaying snippets of their conversation in her mind like a haunting melody that wouldn't fade away. As she sat on her bed surrounded by sketches of happy moments frozen in time, she felt trapped between two worlds, the vibrant one where everything seemed perfect and another where secrets lurked beneath the surface. The unease settled within her like an unwelcome guest refusing to leave. She knew that soon enough she would have to confront not only her parents but also herself to face whatever truths lay hidden beneath their facade of perfection. Would they still be the same loving family Emma had always known? Would their bond withstand whatever storm awaited them? In this uncertain moment, one thing became clear: Emma's life would never be the same again, not after hearing those whispered words that shattered her perception of what family truly meant. The days that followed Emma's shocking discovery felt heavy with tension. She kept replaying her parents' conversation in her mind, each word echoing like a haunting refrain. The warmth of their previous family gatherings turned into a distant memory, overshadowed by the uncertainty that now clouded her heart. Emma knew she had to confront her parents, but the thought of doing so sent waves of anxiety coursing through her. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, Emma found herself sitting at the dining table, unable to focus on the food before her. Sarah and Tom were engaged in light conversation with Max, who was animatedly sharing stories from school. The laughter felt distant to Emma, as if it were coming from another world entirely. Gathering her courage, she cleared her throat and the chatter fell silent. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her parents exchanged glances, and she could see a flicker of concern etched on their faces. Max looked between them and Emma, sensing the heaviness in the air. "Of course, sweetheart," Sarah replied gently, though Emma could tell her mother was bracing for something serious. As they moved to the living room, Emma felt a storm of emotions brewing within her: fear, anger, and an overwhelming sense of betrayal. She sat down on the couch opposite her parents, who looked at her with a mixture of love and apprehension. Max settled beside her, oblivious to the gravity of the moment. I overheard something," Emma began hesitantly, feeling the weight of each word as it left her lips. "You and Dad were talking about secrets. About being honest with us." Tom's expression grew grave as he nodded slowly. "We didn't want you to find out this way." Emma took a deep breath, summoning all her courage. "What secret? What do you mean by different? Are we not perfect?" The last word hung in the air like a fragile glass ornament ready to shatter. Sarah reached out for Emma's hand but hesitated before making contact, unsure of how to bridge the chasm that had suddenly opened between them. Emma, she started softly, there are things we've kept from you for your own protection. Protection from what? Emma pressed, feeling a surge of frustration. From knowing my own family? From understanding who you really are? Tom looked down at his hands before meeting Emma's gaze. It's not just about us, it's about choices we made long ago or choices that affect all of us today. He paused, gathering his thoughts before continuing. Before your mother and I met, I was involved in a difficult situation, a relationship that ended badly. What do you mean? Emma asked, confusion swirling in her mind. There was someone else, Sarah said quietly. A woman named Lisa I knew before your father. We had a brief relationship that ended when I realized it wasn't right for me. Emma's heart raced as she listened intently. This was not what she expected, it felt like only part of the story. But that's not all, Tom interjected, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Lisa became pregnant while we were together. A silence enveloped the room as Emma tried to process this revelation. Her mind raced with questions. Did they have another sibling? Why hadn't they told her? But most importantly, who was Lisa? After I learned about Lisa's pregnancy, Tom continued carefully, I made a decision to step away from that life and focus on building a future with Sarah. He glanced at his wife before returning his gaze to Emma. We thought breaking away would protect everyone involved. Emma's heart sank further as pieces began to fall into place. Her parents' insistence on keeping secrets had always been about shielding their children from pain. But now it felt like a betrayal instead. And what happened to Lisa? Is there more? Emma asked, struggling to keep her voice steady. She raised our child on her own, Tom said softly. We never had any contact after I left until recently. What do you mean until recently? Emma pressed harder now, anger mixed with fear surged within her. Sarah took a shaky breath before answering. She reached out to us again, it seems our daughter wants to meet us. Daughter? The word struck Emma like lightning, it was more than she could bear in that moment. A half-sibling, a hidden part of their family history that shattered everything she believed about herself and her family's perfect image. Why didn't you tell us sooner? Max spoke up for the first time, his innocent voice cutting through the tension. It was complicated, Tom admitted quietly, his eyes filled with regret. We wanted to protect you from any hurt or confusion this might cause. But it's too late for that now. Emma shouted suddenly, tears welling in her eyes. The anger pooled inside her like venom, she felt betrayed by those she loved most. The weight of their secret loomed large over them all, an undeniable fracture forming in their once perfect family picture. In that moment of painful honesty, everything shifted for Emma. There would be no going back to blissful ignorance now that the truth lay bare before them. The ideal world she had created in her mind was gone forever. Now lay only uncertainty and questions yet unanswered. A new journey awaited them all amidst the wreckage of their perceived perfection. The room felt suffocatingly small as Emma sat in stunned silence, her heart pounding in her chest like a drum. The weight of the revelation pressed down on her, each word echoing painfully in her mind. A sister? A hidden sibling who had been kept from her all this time? The perfect family image she had clung to so tightly was now frayed and torn, unraveling right before her eyes. Confusion swirled within her like a whirlwind. How could her parents have kept something so monumental from her? She felt as though the ground beneath her was shifting, leaving her unsteady and lost. Emma's mind raced with questions that seemed impossible to process. Who was this sister? What did she look like? Did she know about Emma? More importantly, why hadn't they ever mentioned her existence? Anger surged inside Emma, hot and consuming. It felt unjust that they had withheld such an important part of their family history from her. She had always thought they shared everything, every joy, every sorrow, every secret. But this felt like a betrayal so deep it cut through the very essence of their bond. The warmth of their family dinners and playful game nights now felt tainted, overshadowed by the truth that lingered in the air like a dark cloud. Why didn't you tell us sooner? Emma's voice trembled as she spoke, the hurt palpable in every word. We could have handled it. We're your family. Tom ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident on his face. We thought we were protecting you from unnecessary pain, he replied defensively, but Emma could hear the cracks in his reasoning. Protecting us, she repeated incredulously, tears brimming in her eyes. By lying to us? By keeping the secret? Her voice rose with each word, the hurt transforming into a fierce indignation that demanded to be acknowledged. Max shifted uneasily beside her, sensing the turmoil swirling between them. Are we supposed to just accept this? He asked quietly, his youthful confusion mirroring Emma's own feelings. Emma turned away from her brother, unable to bear the weight of his innocent gaze. She wanted to scream, to lash out and demand answers that would never come easily. The perfect family image she had painted in her mind now lay shattered on the floor like broken glass, beautiful yet dangerous. Why now? Emma asked bitterly, struggling to maintain control over her emotions. Why are you telling us about this now? Why not before? Why wait until she reached out? Sarah's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she took a step closer to Emma. Because we didn't know how to handle it, she said softly. We thought we could move forward without addressing it, but then Lisa reached out again. But it's too late for that. Emma shouted, unable to contain the whirlwind of anger and betrayal surging within her. You've already broken our trust. With that, Emma stood up abruptly, feeling as if she might explode if she remained seated any longer. She needed space to breathe, to think, to process everything that had just unfolded. She turned away from them and fled up the stairs into her room, slamming the door behind her with a force that reverberated through the house. Inside the sanctuary of her room, Emma let out a shuddering breath as tears streamed down her cheeks. She collapsed onto her bed and buried her face in her pillow, allowing herself to feel the full weight of betrayal wash over her. Each sob echoed through the hollow space around her. It felt as if she were drowning in an ocean of confusion and hurt. How could they have hidden this from her? How could they expect her to just accept it without any explanation? The memories of laughter-filled evenings now twisted into painful reminders of what lay beneath their seemingly perfect exterior, a facade designed to shield them all from an uncomfortable truth. Emma wrestled with feelings of inadequacy. She couldn't shake off the sense that perhaps she hadn't been enough for them to share this part of their lives openly. If they loved her so much, why would they keep secrets? Did they think she wouldn't understand? Or worse, did they think she wouldn't care? The dissonance between perception and reality was almost too much to bear. Every cherished moment now felt tainted by doubt and uncertainty. Her mind raced with thoughts of what life would look like if they welcomed this new sister into their family. Would there be enough love to go around? Would their bond remain strong or fracture under the weight of new expectations? As she lay there on her bed, surrounded by sketches of happier times, Emma realized that nothing would ever be the same again, not for her or for anyone in their family. The journey ahead seemed daunting and uncertain. Navigating these new waters would require courage and resilience, a far cry from the blissful ignorance she once enjoyed. In that moment of deep emotional turmoil, one thing became painfully clear. As much as she longed for answers and clarity, confronting this truth would mean grappling with far more than just secrets. It would mean redefining what it meant to be a family amidst imperfection. The days following Emma's revelation were a blur of confusion and emotional turmoil. She felt like a detective in a mystery novel, driven by an insatiable need to uncover the truth behind her family's hidden past. The weight of the secret loomed over her, and she knew that if she wanted to reclaim her sense of security, she had to delve deeper into the shadows that had been cast over their lives. As she sat at her desk one evening, surrounded by sketches and notebooks, Emma decided it was time to take control of the narrative. She needed answers, real answers that would help her piece together the fragments of her family's story. With determination coursing through her, she opened her laptop and began researching everything she could about Lisa, the woman who had changed everything without Emma even knowing. The search proved fruitless at first. Lisa was just another name lost in the vast sea of the internet. Frustration built as Emma combed through social media profiles and public records, searching for any clue that might lead her to this hidden sister. Each dead end left her feeling more isolated, but she refused to give up. The next day at school, Emma struggled to focus on her classes. Her mind drifted constantly to thoughts of Lisa, their potential connection, and the questions that remained unanswered. During lunch, she confided in Mia, her best friend, sharing everything she had learned. I can't shake the feeling that I need to know more, Emma confessed, biting into her sandwich. What if Lisa is someone I could really connect with? What if she's just like me? Mia listened intently, nodding in understanding. You have to talk to your parents again, she said gently. You deserve to know what they went through. That night, Emma gathered her courage and approached her parents once more. Can we talk? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. Tom looked up from his book while Sarah put down her knitting, both sensing the seriousness in Emma's tone. They exchanged glances before nodding in agreement. Listen, I've been doing some digging, Emma began hesitantly. I want to understand more about Lisa and what happened back then. Sarah sighed heavily, a deep worry crossing her features. Emma, it's complicated. Complicated how? Emma pressed, frustration creeping into her voice. I have a right to know. She's my sister. Tom's expression softened as he saw the hurt in his daughter's eyes. We understand that you're feeling confused and betrayed, he said carefully. But there are things about our past that are painful for us to discuss. Painful for you? What about me? Emma shot back. I'm the one who feels like my whole life has been a lie. A silence settled over them as they navigated the emotional minefield laid out before them. Finally, Sarah spoke up again. "We met when I was trying to heal from my relationship with Lisa," she admitted quietly. "It was difficult for both Tom and me." Emma felt a knot tighten in her stomach as Sarah continued. "Lisa struggled after I left. She became distant and consumed by anger and resentment over our decision." "What does that mean?" Emma asked sharply. "Was she unhappy? Did you ever think about reaching out?" "We thought about it countless times," Tom interjected, his voice thick with emotion. "But we were terrified of reopening old wounds. We believed it would only complicate things further." Emma absorbed their words like a sponge, piecing together fragments of a story that had long been buried beneath layers of denial and avoidance. The image of Lisa started forming in her mind, not just as a name but as a real person with feelings and experiences that mattered. "I want to meet her," Emma declared firmly, surprising even herself with how resolute she sounded. Her parents exchanged looks filled with concern and apprehension. "Emma," Sarah began hesitantly. "No," Emma interrupted, determination shining in her eyes. "I need this for me." In the following days, Emma's resolve only grew stronger as she gathered information from various sources. Old newspapers online hinted at community events where Lisa had been involved years ago. Social media connected dots that led back to mutual friends. Every small detail felt like a breadcrumb leading her closer to understanding. Armed with newfound clarity and an unyielding desire for connection, Emma decided it was time for action. She reached out through social media, sending a message directly to Lisa's profile, and waited nervously for a response. The unease settled within her like an unwelcome guest as days passed without a reply until finally, one afternoon while sitting in her room sketching away at yet another rendition of family moments past, Emma heard the familiar ping from her phone. With trembling fingers, she opened the message from Lisa, *, "Hi there. I'm surprised to hear from you. We should talk. *. Emma felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with anxiety. This could be the moment that changed everything, the bridge between two halves of herself that had been kept apart for so long. As she typed out a response suggesting they meet at a local cafe, excitement surged within her, a small flicker of hope igniting amidst all the turmoil surrounding their family secrets. Seeking the truth was not merely an act of defiance, it was an embrace of possibility, a chance for reconciliation and understanding that could redefine what it meant to be part of this family moving forward. And so began Emma's journey toward uncovering not only the truth about Lisa but also embracing the complexities of love and connection within a family shaped by both joy and heartache. The day Emma had been both anticipating and dreading arrived. She felt a mix of excitement and anxiety as she prepared to meet Lisa at the cafe they had chosen. The potential for connection loomed large in her heart, but the weight of her family's secrets still hung heavily over her. This meeting could alter everything she thought she understood about herself and her family. As she walked to the cafe, Emma's mind raced with questions. What would Lisa be like? Would they have anything in common? The thought of finally meeting her sister sent a thrill through her, yet the anxiety of how her parents would react lingered at the back of her mind. When she arrived, Emma spotted Lisa seated at a table in the corner, her posture relaxed but her eyes scanning the room as if waiting for something significant. Emma took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. As she approached, Lisa looked up and smiled, a warm, genuine smile that mirrored Emma's own nervous excitement. "Hi," Emma said, sliding into the chair across from her. "Thanks for meeting me." "Of course," Lisa replied, her voice soft yet confident. "I've been looking forward to this." They exchanged small talk, sharing snippets of their lives. Emma spoke about school and art while Lisa recounted stories from her own experiences. Each moment spent together felt like peeling back layers of an onion. With every shared laugh and story, Emma felt more connected to this stranger who was also her sister. But beneath that burgeoning connection lay unspoken questions, questions that Emma knew needed to be addressed. After some time, she took a deep breath and broached the topic that had brought them together. "Lisa," she began slowly, "why didn't you ever reach out before? Or why didn't my parents tell me about you sooner?" The smile on Lisa's face faltered slightly as she looked down at her coffee cup. "It's complicated," she said quietly. "After Mom and Dad separated, I think everyone thought it would be easier to just move on without revisiting the past." Emma nodded slowly, feeling a sense of understanding mixed with frustration. "But I'm here now. I want to know you, I want to understand our family's history," she urged gently. Lisa looked up, her eyes reflecting a blend of emotions, sadness and resolve. "I always thought finding you would be such a delicate thing," she confessed. "Mom was hurt when Dad left, and I didn't want to open old wounds." Emma absorbed this revelation as if it were a fresh wound in itself. The complexities of family dynamics were beginning to unfold before her like an intricate tapestry. Each thread revealed not just love but pain and confusion woven throughout their lives. After their conversation came to a natural lull, Emma felt compelled to confront the elephant in the room, the truth about their parents' decisions and the impact it had on both their lives. "Lisa," Emma started carefully, "I need to know how you feel about all this, about Dad and Mom keeping you a secret from me." Lisa sighed deeply, taking a moment to gather her thoughts. "Honestly, it's been hard," she admitted. "At first, I was angry that they didn't reach out sooner or include me in your life. But as I grew older, I realized that maybe they were just trying to protect us in their own way." Emma felt an unexpected wave of empathy wash over her. Perhaps Lisa had experienced similar feelings of isolation and confusion growing up without knowing about her sister. "I guess I never considered it from your perspective," Emma said thoughtfully. "For me, it feels like this massive betrayal that shattered my entire view of our family." Just then, Emma's phone buzzed with an incoming message from Max. "Mom wants us home for dinner, can't wait." A pang of guilt flashed through Emma as she glanced at the message. Here was Max, innocent and unaware of the complexities that surrounded their family dynamic. She knew it was time to return home but felt torn between two worlds, one filled with newfound connections and another steeped in uncertainty. "I have to go," Emma said reluctantly, looking back at Lisa with regret. "But I want this to be just the beginning for us." Lisa nodded, understanding written all over her face. As they exchanged numbers before parting ways, Emma felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, a sense that despite their shared pain, there could be a path forward toward healing. The walk home was filled with contemplation. Each step felt heavier than the last as memories of laughter-filled dinners danced through her mind alongside thoughts of betrayal and secrets uncovered. When she finally arrived home, Emma found herself standing at the threshold for just a moment longer than usual, contemplating how best to address everything swirling within. As soon as she entered the house, Sarah welcomed her with open arms but then noticed the cloud hanging over Emma's head. "How did it go?" she asked tentatively. Taking a deep breath, Emma met her mother's gaze squarely. "We talked," she said slowly, weighing each word carefully before continuing. "And now I need to talk to you." Tom joined them in the living room moments later. His expression shifted from concern to apprehension as he sensed something serious was unfolding. "About what?" he asked cautiously. Emma squared her shoulders and steadied her voice for what was coming next. This conversation would require courage she wasn't sure she possessed but knew must happen nonetheless. "I need you both to understand how important it is for me to know my sister, and I need answers about why all of this was kept from me." As silence enveloped them once again, Emma sensed an openness in their faces that suggested deeper truths were ready to be unveiled, truths that could reshape their understanding not only of family but also of love intertwined with imperfections. In that pivotal moment, the confrontation between daughter and parents, the complexities of their lives began to reveal themselves more clearly than ever before. In the days following her confrontation with her parents, Emma found herself in a whirlwind of emotions. The revelation about her sister and the secrets that had been hidden from her altered her perspective on everything she thought she knew about her family. What once felt like an unbreakable bond now seemed fragile, marked by underlying tensions and unspoken truths. Emma's relationship with Sarah changed almost instantly. Where there had once been an easy camaraderie, a chasm now separated them. Emma felt as though she was navigating a minefield. Every interaction was laced with hesitation. When Sarah attempted to engage her in conversation, Emma often found herself retreating into silence, unable to shake off the sting of betrayal that lingered in her heart. "Are you okay?" Sarah would ask gently during family dinners, trying to recapture the warmth they once shared. But Emma could see the worry etched on her mother's face, and it only served to deepen the divide between them. "I'm fine," Emma would reply, though the words felt hollow even as she spoke them. The truth was that she wasn't fine at all. She was grappling with feelings of confusion and anger that were hard to articulate. Max, oblivious to the complexities of the situation, continued to approach Emma with his usual enthusiasm. He would bounce into her room, eager to share stories or ask for help with homework. But even his innocent cheerfulness felt like a reminder of what had been kept from them, a reminder of the sister he didn't know existed. Emma often found herself forcing a smile for him, but inside she felt a nagging guilt for what he might never understand. Tom's presence loomed large in the household as well. He seemed troubled, weighed down by the ramifications of his past decisions. Emma noticed how he would glance at her during meals, searching for signs of forgiveness or understanding that she wasn't ready to offer. The easy banter they once shared now felt strained and awkward. Conversations were punctuated by uncomfortable silences. "Emma," Tom would say during one of their attempts at normalcy, "we need to talk more about Lisa." But instead of feeling relief at his willingness to discuss things, Emma would bristle at the mention of Lisa's name. "What is there to say?" she would reply sharply. "You're the one who kept her from me." The distance between them widened as Emma wrestled with her feelings. Trust had been eroded. How could she rely on someone who had built a life around half-truths? Every time Tom tried to reach out, it felt like another layer of betrayal was uncovered, an endless cycle that left both of them feeling frustrated and misunderstood. Yet throughout this turmoil, Emma began to confront something deeper within herself, the very concept of family and what it meant to be part of one. She had always believed that families were defined by unconditional love and openness, yet here she was, grappling with secrets and lies that threatened to tear them apart. As she pondered these thoughts, Emma realized that perhaps family wasn't always perfect, perhaps it was messy and complex. Her parents had made choices out of fear of loss and pain, and while those choices had hurt her deeply, they had also shaped who they were as individuals. One afternoon, while rummaging through old family photos for inspiration for a new art project, Emma stumbled upon pictures from their past, smiling faces captured in candid moments filled with joy. Tears welled up in her eyes as she realized how much love still existed between them despite everything that had happened. It struck her then that love could coexist with imperfection, it could endure even in the face of betrayal. Determined to bridge the gap between herself and her parents, Emma decided it was time for another conversation, a conversation that focused on healing rather than blame. One evening after dinner, while sitting together in the living room, she took a deep breath and spoke up. "Can we talk about everything?" she asked quietly but firmly. Sarah looked up from her knitting, surprised but hopeful. "Of course," she replied softly. "I know I've been distant," Emma admitted, glancing at both Tom and Sarah. "But I want us to move forward together." Tom nodded slowly, relief washing over his face. "We want that too," he said earnestly. "We've missed you." "What I've learned is that our family isn't perfect," Emma continued carefully. "But we can be honest with each other about our past, the things we've done wrong, and still love each other." Tears glistened in Sarah's eyes while Tom looked deeply moved by Emma's words. The air felt lighter as they began sharing their feelings openly. Each revelation brought with it a sense of catharsis that made room for understanding. As they spoke about their fears and regrets regarding Lisa's existence and how it had affected their family dynamics, Emma felt walls begin to crumble around her heart. In sharing their truths, they discovered hidden depths of compassion for one another, a shared experience forged through pain but also through resilience. It was during this pivotal moment, this reevaluation of relationships, that Emma truly understood what it meant to be part of a family. It was not about being flawlessly perfect but rather about being real, about navigating challenges together while choosing love over resentment time and again. And as they sat together in their living room, once filled with tension but now saturated with understanding, Emma realized that while their journey toward healing would take time, it was a journey worth taking together. As the weeks passed since Emma's emotional confrontation with her parents, she found herself on a path of profound self-discovery. The tumultuous journey had shaken her perception of family and love, but it also opened doors to personal growth that she never anticipated. In the wake of revelations and reconciliations, Emma began to understand the nuances of human relationships, the beauty and complexity of imperfections that shaped them. Her initial feelings of anger and betrayal gradually transformed into a deeper understanding. Emma realized that her parents' decision to keep Lisa a secret stemmed from their desire to protect their family, even if it meant sacrificing honesty. This realization didn't excuse the pain it caused her, but it allowed her to view their choices through a lens of empathy rather than resentment. She often found herself reflecting on her previous beliefs about family, how she had idealized the notion of perfection, equating it with love and happiness. But now, as she navigated through her own feelings, Emma recognized that love was not about flawless interactions or the absence of conflict. It was about acceptance and vulnerability. It was about embracing one another's faults and failures while still choosing to stand together. To solidify this newfound perspective, Emma turned to her art. She poured her emotions onto canvas, using colors and shapes to express what words could not convey. Each stroke became a cathartic release, a way to process the complexities of her family dynamics and the roller coaster of emotions she had experienced. One afternoon, as she painted in her room, she decided to create a piece dedicated to her sister. It was an abstract representation, swirls of vibrant colors intertwined with darker hues representing both joy and pain. As she painted, Emma reflected on what it meant to welcome Lisa into their lives. It symbolized not just an expansion of family but also an opportunity for growth and healing. Through art, Emma found a voice for her feelings, a means to explore the depths of love intertwined with imperfection. She began to embrace the idea that every family has its story filled with struggles and triumphs. Theirs was no different. As she continued this journey of self-discovery, Emma also made efforts to connect with Lisa beyond their initial meeting. They texted frequently, sharing snippets of their lives while slowly building a relationship based on honesty and mutual understanding. Each conversation opened new windows into Lisa's experiences growing up without knowing Emma existed. They laughed together over shared interests while also acknowledging the pain that lingered beneath their surfaces. Emma started to see how resilience could forge connections even amidst uncertainty. Through their conversations, Lisa expressed her own feelings about being kept a secret, a burden she had carried alone for years. This exchange helped Emma realize that everyone has their own struggles. Just because someone appeared fine on the outside didn't mean they were devoid of pain. One evening, after an especially heartfelt conversation with Lisa about their hopes and dreams, Emma felt a sense of clarity wash over her. The weight of her earlier anger dissipated as she realized how important it was for them both to find acceptance, not just within themselves but also in one another. In reflecting on her relationship with Max, Emma found herself seeing him through a new lens as well. Rather than feeling annoyed by his innocence regarding family matters, she began cherishing those moments where he simply lived in joy, unburdened by secrets or complexities. She sought opportunities to bond with him more deeply, initiating movie nights or painting sessions where they could share laughter and creativity without the shadows lurking nearby. The family dinners that had once felt strained gradually transformed into opportunities for connection again. They formed a pact, an unspoken agreement that honesty would reign supreme going forward. The air felt lighter as communication flowed more freely between them. They shared stories not only about their days but also about their feelings concerning everything from minor grievances to deeper concerns. Emma learned that navigating imperfections within relationships required courage, the courage to be vulnerable and open while also allowing herself space for healing. As she fostered these connections with both her sister and parents, she discovered that love could flourish amidst flaws. It could evolve into something far more profound when layered with authenticity. In embracing this journey toward acceptance of herself, her family's history, and even Lisa, Emma uncovered strength within herself that she hadn't known existed before. The tumultuous waves had led her not just toward understanding others but also toward newfound appreciation for who she was becoming, someone resilient enough to face challenges head-on yet compassionate enough to embrace imperfections in those around her. As summer approached and sunlight streamed through her window, illuminating the canvas splashed with vibrant colors reflecting her journey thus far, Emma felt ready for whatever lay ahead. She understood now that while life might never align perfectly with expectations, there was beauty in its unpredictability, a beauty woven intricately into the fabric of family bonds forged through love and acceptance. As the weeks turned into months, Emma's family began to find their footing amidst the shifting dynamics that had once felt so fragile. The journey of confronting their past had been painful, but it also opened doors to healing and understanding that they had never imagined possible. Each family member was learning to navigate their vulnerabilities, and in doing so, they were forging stronger bonds built on acceptance. Emma took the lead in promoting open communication during family dinners. Instead of allowing silence to fill the spaces between them, she encouraged everyone to share their thoughts and feelings openly, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. "Let's talk about our day," she suggested one evening as they gathered around the table. "And let's also talk about how we're feeling about everything, about Lisa, about us." Sarah smiled at her daughter's initiative, grateful for the courage Emma was showing. "That sounds like a wonderful idea," she replied, looking at Tom with a nod of agreement. Max chimed in enthusiastically, "Can we also talk about pizza toppings? I really think pineapple belongs on pizza." Laughter erupted around the table, lightening the mood as Emma recognized how important it was to balance serious discussions with moments of joy. As they shared stories, Emma found herself reflecting on how far they had come together. The laughter felt more genuine now, interlaced with a sense of camaraderie that had been lacking before. They were no longer just a family portraying an image of perfection, they were real people working through their imperfections together. One evening, after dinner, Emma brought out her latest painting, a vibrant piece that symbolized her journey toward acceptance and understanding. The swirling colors represented not only her emotions but also the intricate threads that connected them all as family members. "This is for us," she said, placing it prominently on the wall in their living room. Tom and Sarah exchanged glances filled with pride as they admired Emma's creativity. "It's beautiful," Sarah said softly. "You've captured so much emotion in this. It reminds me that even though we have our struggles, we can still create something beautiful together," Emma responded thoughtfully. "Perfection is an illusion, but love is real. As the family began to adapt to this new perspective on life, they made a conscious effort to include Lisa in their evolving dynamic. Emma reached out frequently, inviting her to join them for family events or simply to hang out. It wasn't always easy. There were moments of awkwardness when old wounds resurfaced or when misunderstandings arose. One Saturday afternoon, Lisa came over for a picnic in their backyard. The sun shone brightly as they spread out a blanket and filled it with homemade sandwiches and fruit. Max eagerly introduced Lisa to his latest board game while Emma observed with a mixture of hope and apprehension. "Are you ready to lose?" Max teased playfully, his competitive spirit shining through. "You wish." Lisa laughed back, her eyes sparkling with delight as she joined in the fun. As they played together under the shade of a large oak tree, laughter flowed freely. Emma watched as her sister interacted seamlessly with Max and even engaged in light banter with Tom, an unexpected connection forming before her eyes. It became clear that while their journey would require patience and compassion, there was potential for a real bond to emerge. Over time, Lisa shared stories about her life growing up without knowing about Emma or their parents' past, a narrative filled with both struggles and triumphs. Each revelation deepened Emma's understanding of Lisa's experiences and made them feel more like sisters rather than strangers trying to navigate unfamiliar territory. One evening after a long day of work, Sarah sat down with Tom on the porch under the stars. They reflected on how much had changed since Lisa entered their lives again. "It feels like we've finally embraced our imperfections," Sarah mused quietly. "I'm proud of how we've all worked together to heal." Tom nodded thoughtfully. "It hasn't been easy," he admitted, "but I can see our family growing stronger because we're facing these challenges head-on." In those quiet moments under the vast night sky filled with twinkling stars, Sarah and Tom realized that love was not merely about creating an image of perfection, it was about being vulnerable enough to confront their flaws and accept each other despite them. The family's journey toward healing culminated in a celebration one warm summer evening, a gathering where everyone could share their stories without fear or judgment. Neighbors and friends joined them for an outdoor barbecue filled with laughter and joy as they celebrated not only familial bonds but also resilience forged through adversity. As Emma stood at the center of it all, a tapestry of connections woven together by love, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over her. The perfect family image might have crumbled away like sandcastles at high tide, but what had emerged in its place was something infinitely more valuable: authenticity. In embracing imperfection and choosing acceptance over resentment, Emma's family had learned that true strength lay not in an unattainable ideal but rather in the messy yet beautiful reality of love shared among imperfect individuals navigating life together. As they laughed under the stars that night, surrounded by friends and family, Emma understood that their story was just beginning. It would be one written with honesty and connection, a narrative where love thrived amidst imperfections. As the summer days began to wane and the first hints of autumn crept into the air, Emma found herself sitting on her bedroom floor, surrounded by sketches and memories that told the story of her family's journey. The vibrant paintings she had created over the past few months adorned her walls, each one capturing a moment of growth, struggle, and connection. With every brushstroke, she had transformed her emotions into art, a testament to the lessons learned through their shared experiences. Reflecting on their journey, Emma felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over her. What had begun as a disorienting revelation about secrets and hidden truths had evolved into something beautiful, an authentic bond forged through vulnerability, acceptance, and love. She realized that their family's imperfections were not weaknesses, rather, they were threads woven into the fabric of their lives that made them uniquely theirs. Emma recalled the initial shock she felt when she overheard her parents discussing Lisa. That moment had shattered her perception of what family meant, leaving her grappling with feelings of betrayal and confusion. But as time passed, she discovered that confronting those feelings head-on was not only necessary but also liberating. It allowed her to see the depth of human experience, the joys and sorrows that could coexist within a single family unit. She thought about how each member of her family had navigated their own paths through this tumultuous time. Sarah had taken steps to be more open and communicative, breaking down barriers that once seemed insurmountable. Tom had shown immense courage in facing the consequences of his past while striving to build trust anew with Emma and Max. And then there was Lisa, who had stepped into their lives like a new chapter waiting to be written, bringing with her a story filled with love and resilience. Emma smiled as she remembered moments shared with Lisa, the laughter over board games, the late-night conversations where they bonded over shared interests and dreams. They had navigated the awkwardness together, learning to respect one another's boundaries while also embracing the connection that came from being sisters. In those moments, Emma felt a sense of completeness begin to blossom, filling a void she hadn't even known existed. But it wasn't just about Lisa, it was about how her entire perspective on family had shifted. Emma recognized that love wasn't about perfection, it was about authenticity and accepting one another for who they truly were, the messy, flawed individuals navigating life's unpredictable journey together. She looked back at the memories captured in her paintings, the laughter shared during family dinners, the quiet moments spent in reflection, and even the tears shed during difficult conversations. Each memory served as a reminder that every experience contributed to their growth as a family. As she sat there lost in thought, Emma felt a sense of peace enveloping her heart. She understood now that healing doesn't happen overnight, it is an ongoing process filled with ups and downs. There would still be challenges ahead, new hurdles to overcome as they continued to navigate this evolving relationship with Lisa, but what mattered most was their commitment to facing those challenges together. With newfound clarity, Emma grabbed her sketchbook and began to draw once more. This time, she envisioned a large tree, a symbol of strength and resilience, its roots intertwining beneath the surface while its branches reached high into the sky. Each branch represented a different aspect of their family: love, forgiveness, acceptance, and growth. The leaves fluttering in the wind embodied their laughter and shared experiences. In that moment of creativity, Emma realized that while she had once sought perfection within her family dynamic, what she truly desired now was authenticity, the kind that embraced both light and shadow. As autumn leaves began to fall outside her window, Emma took a deep breath and reflected on how far they had come together as a family. The lessons learned through pain had paved the way for deeper connections filled with understanding, a tapestry woven from both joy and sorrow. No longer did she view imperfections as flaws, instead they became markers of resilience, reminders that love can thrive even in challenging circumstances. And so with each passing day filled with laughter and heartfelt conversations, Emma felt ready to embrace whatever lay ahead for their family, knowing now that true strength lies not in an illusion of perfection but in the authenticity they chose to cultivate together.